You don't mention.
And then record. Let
We
me
go
mute
watch
because this
party.
I've got noise on my end. Oh, hi Facebook.
Hey Facebook. Hey guys. Okay.
Okay, we are recording.
Awesome. Hey everyone. Welcome to Real Women Real Estate. My name is Ebony.
I'm Kimberly.
I'm Courtney.
And we are so excited to bring you another episode of our podcast. We have a guest today that I think all of us like collectively stalked slash fangirled out over. This lady is dynamic. We're going to be speaking with Miss Detra L. Harris. But before I get into her specifics and who she is and why we all kind of want her to be our mentor, I'm going to give you a quote of the day. Today's quote comes from a book that both Courtney and I think, are reading right now. The quote is: "The future never takes care of itself. It is taken care of, shaped, molded, and colored by the present. Our todays are what our yesterdays made them, and our tomorrows must inevitably be the product of our todays." And that is by Mr. Dennis Kimbrough, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. I'm in love with that book right now. Are you, Courtney, still? Where's she at?
Yes, I actually just finished it yesterday.
Oh, girl, that's a 12-hour audiobook. So I'm I'm halfway through. But
Yeah.
anywho, not to get sidetracked, we're back to the regularly
Yeah.
scheduled program of talking to Miss Detra L. Harris. Now, listen, guys, Mrs. Harris is a business owner, right? She owns her own business. It's called Strive Wealth Builders. She's a real estate investor, and she's just a self-described real estate junkie. She has owned and managed her small business since 1987. She carries over 30 years of experience as a business owner, real estate investor, real estate portfolio manager, and mentor. She is a California licensed realtor, has managed a portfolio of over 15,000 units of conventional and affordable housing communities collectively, and holds a HUD certified occupancy specialist certification, a certified community association manager certification, a certified multifamily specialist, as well as a certified tax credit specialist certificate. She is an affordable housing advocate and believes housing is a human right. Therefore, she supports many nonprofit organizations and advocacy groups that work to end homelessness and provide affordable housing. She is also passionate about helping others grow passive income through real estate investing and offers training and mentoring to club members through Strive Wealth Builders. Did I or did I not say that we all want her to be our mentor? Because, guys, look at those certifications. But, anywho, enough about that. We're going to jump right in with some interview questions that we have prepared for Mrs. Deetra. The first question really is: can you share how your passion for real estate and affordable housing came about?
Certainly. Well, first, I want to thank you for having me. It's just a pleasure to be here with the three of you. And it's a pleasure to see that you are promoting your own podcast. And so I commend you, and I'm very proud of your success, one thing. I started very early in my career, 16 years old, to be honest. I started because my grandmother, I lived in San Francisco, born and raised in San Francisco. My grandmother was, she decided to move into a senior housing. And in San Francisco, there's an area called Fillmore, if some of you are familiar with that. And at the time when I was 16, the city converted 183 units, which was considered the projects. It was called the Pink Palace at the time. And they converted it into senior housing. And my grandmother moved into that senior complex. And what I thought at the time was that she was moving into a nursing home. I wasn't really familiar with the different types of senior housing. But it wasn't a nursing home. It was senior housing, and it was for active seniors that was 62 years old or older. And that's when I became aware of housing and apartment living. I've lived in homes for the majority of my life. And when my grandmother moved into senior housing, I thought she was moving into a nursing home. And, you know, when we think that, we think she's ill and she's sick, she's going to die in the nursing home. Unfortunately, she did pass it in that facility. But that's when I really wanted to make an impact and a difference in senior housing. And that was my start. I, from there, was interested in real estate. And I didn't have anyone in my family that was a realtor or an investor or anything. So I had to learn from trial and error, as I move forward. So when I graduated from college, I was dating a athlete at the time. He was a Raider, and he introduced me to getting my real estate license, and that's what I did at the time. And then I moved into leasing as a leasing agent in the multifamily industry, and here I am today.
That's awesome. And I think it's so telling, like the fact that your journey started with your family, like that speaks volumes of like your passion of affordable housing and believing that housing is, a human right, which it absolutely is. One of the things that I think we wanted to dive in a bit more about is something that we came across during our stalking, quote unquote, of your biography, where you mentioned that multifamily investments were your favorite type of investments. And so we wanted to kind of dive in a little bit more about why you have a passion for specifically multifamily investments. And then on that same note, since multifamily seems to be your favorite, that means you must have a least favorite. So we wanted to kind of get into that as well.
Okay, yes, I do have a love for multifamily. And again, it starts from apartment living when my grandmother moved into senior housing. I wanted to make a difference. I wasn't real happy with what I saw when she moved into the facilities, and I said, well, I can do better than the management company. I can make a strong impact in housing and provide better services than the property management company at the time. So I started there. And I would say the biggest factor is that you can definitely scale a lot faster in multifamily as opposed to single family investing. And so that interests me, and as well as being able to help more than one person at a time, a given time with housing, was also my attraction. For instance, supplying 50 units or more for families as opposed to 4 or 5 units. I was able to scale and able to provide services to a large population of households that needed it at the time. And so that was my attraction to multifamily, and in particularly affordable housing. Some of what I least like in investment would be fix and flips. Now I know that there's a lot of fix and flippers out there, and I definitely have my hand in fix and flipping. But if I have to say, that would be my least likes for investment type.
May I ask
You
why?
gotta
That's my
touch on why,
favorite.
because that's like the most
Yeah,
popular thing.
you're talking to two fix
Yeah,
and
It's
flip.
so high
Right?
risk.
We get a
I'm
flip.
gonna guess that it's high risk, but tell us
you're
why.
right. You're right. It's definitely high risk. My first fix and flip project was a complete nightmare for me. And then I did get better as I moved on. I have underneath my belt at least 10 to 15 fix and flips. However, I would strongly suggest anyone that is not familiar or haven't, purchased their first fix and flip to have a mentor and some guidance before you decide to move in that direction. It could be very profitable if you do it the right way. So, there's a lot of ways that you can fail in fix and flipping. So I should strongly suggest that if you decide to invest in fix and flips, to have a mentor and really do sufficient due diligence before you move into that market. There's a lot of ways that you can lose money through contractors, through your holding cost, and a lot of different other ways, tax purposes. And if you have, when you make the income, make sure that you don't get hit with a capital gains tax. and so on. So I just made a lot of mistakes in fix and flips. It's very time consuming. And so when I look at the profits, for instance, if you make $40,000 in profit on your fix and flip, how much time did it take you to get through that process? And then you have to measure that with your profit. Was it worth the profit? So I just looked, so it would really have to be a really good deal for me to move forward with the fix and flip. And I guess we'll move closer to discussing that, because right now the market is hot for fix and flips. So I'm leaving myself open to that strategy because I believe that you do have to have, some wiggle room with your strategies when the market turns and changes. And so you have to go along with the flow.
I can see that. It's just so common. And I know that the amount of money that they're making is just killer, especially here. A house on the end of the street. Got it from a family, a trust. Mother was passing away. Father was ill as well. They just wanted to get rid of the house. Got rid of the house. I think they must have been under $1 million. It's on the market right now for 1.5. And I watched these people come in seamlessly. It was like, almost like a symphony needed to happen on the street, just watching them seamlessly flow through. When you just knew everybody had their ducks in a row. Everybody came through on the right time. This was done on this day. She said, we're going to be on the market by Wednesday. Boom, they were on the market by Wednesday. Pictures were here. It was done. And I was just like, well, damn.
Right.
If you don't have a team in place to do that, there's no way. But I mean, I was just like, can I just have everybody's contact information?
Exactly. You're exactly right. You have to have a good team, a good contractor, a good team in place. Understand the market that is in. Do your due diligence and your analysis. Make sure your numbers pencil before you move forward. You want to make sure that your after repair value will get you your the profit that you desire, and make sure that the location and the market also meets your needs in terms of your profit margin. So when you have all those ducks in a row, and there's a lot of fix and flippers that just love the business, that's very successful. I commend them. It's just not my favorite, but definitely I support fix and flippers. As a matter of fact, I train fix and flippers on how to be successful at fixing and fix and flips. So it's definitely make sure you have a good contractor. That's definitely number one.
Yeah, you need several contractors just in case.
I was about to say, Kim.
We learned that.
Yeah,
we definitely found
we learned that the hard way. It took my first fix and flip. It took me a year to flip it. So
wow.
A year?
It took a year to flip it because we went through about 2 or 3 general contractors, took our money, and didn't do the job correctly, and then they did it wrong. We didn't pass our permits. When the inspector came out, it was just problem after problem. It was very problematic. But I learned a lot. And again, I just jumped in. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have any idea of what was necessary. We bought a property in East Oakland on Voltaire. I'll never forget this home. And we bought it for under 100,000, and we were just, hey, we're going to fix and flip this, and we just really didn't have an idea of how to move forward with that, and we ended up losing quite a bit of money. We did finish the project a year later, but we lost quite a bit of money. And then we sold it, and we broke even. And then today, years later, it sold for over 500,000, and we sold it for 136 or something like that at the time. So it's just a big mistake. And then I moved into Detroit and did the same thing a few years later. I bought 7 single family homes in Detroit, didn't know the market, didn't have any a circle of influence there, didn't know anyone. And same thing happened. I got stiffed by a contractor, general contractor. and down the same road.
Wow. So that was my question. My question was going to be for the property that was in Oakland. Was that single family or multifamily?
It was single family.
It was single family. Okay.
Right. I
So,
started
yeah.
with purchasing single families and duplexes before I moved into multifamily. I started there, which is pretty typical. If you're new in the industry, I definitely suggest starting what we consider small with a single family, a duplex, or you might want to fix and flip one property and get your feet wet.
So what made you just, I'm gonna buy these 7 houses in Detroit?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said, what made you be like, I'm gonna buy these 7 houses in Detroit?
Someone I was dating at the time. I know I mentioned 2 people I was dating at the time. I want to get away from that, but sometimes we follow. They talk us into things like it sounds good to me. You look good. I'm coming with you wherever you're going, right? So yeah. So I was dating and just he was a cutie, and he said let's buy some homes in Detroit.
We call
It
that
sounds good
nose
to me.
wide
I
open.
had to
Was he
Yes.
from Detroit? Was he from out there?
No, from California. But we heard the market was good. You know how you hear what's hot? Like we're going to talk about a little bit what markets are hot. Well, we were told that, well, it was true. We bought homes for under $6,000 a piece. So we were buying properties just cash. And then we flew out there in the winter. And I'm from California. I didn't know anything about the snow. This was, years back, by the way. And we flew out there in the snow, and it was awful. And the homes were burnt down. We had problems with the tax with the city. It had back taxes on some of the properties that we didn't understand how to work that out. And again, we lost quite a bit of money. And I didn't learn my lesson. Then 5 years after that, I moved back into the Detroit area.
Wait. Wait, you did not learn your lesson.
No, I didn't.
So you bought 7, didn't learn your lesson, said, okay, I'm gonna try this again in Detroit. Is this the same man? Or are we moving on to another
different
kid?
man now, different man. And he came with a proposal. It looked good. This time he said, we're going to purchase the properties and we're going to rent them to veterans. And, I'm all about affordable housing and helping people, and especially veterans and disabled people. And it sounded really good. And he actually had a team, but I didn't do any due diligence on the team and make sure they were qualified. So, again, I've learned so much from that.
Because he was cute.
Well, he was all right.
Listen, I just have to thank you for your transparency.
I love this.
Because seriously, people don't want to talk about how you really find deals. And real estate is it's a conversation, it's a networking, and we're not gonna act like romantic partners can't bring deals to the table, but that doesn't mean don't do your due diligence.
Exactly, on both ends, with the man and with the deal, right?
Yeah,
and with the deal,
right. Exactly.
With the man and the deal.
Right.
Ooh, that might be our quote.
Do your due diligence with the man and the deal.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I learned a lot. So I do a lot of due diligence today, and I have a system that I put in place for the due diligence. And after that, I was reluctant to invest out of state. Now I love investing out of state, and I look at United States as my platform. So I'm not afraid to go into any market in United States that works, that pencils, and that I have a team of professionals that I have vetted through and that I've built a relationship with. So relationship building is really big in this business, and I've learned to relationship build before I move into any market.
What markets have you invested in outside of Detroit and Cali?
We have properties in Illinois, Chicago, and also in Ohio. So we have Dayton, Fairborn, Garfield Heights, and we are closing on a multifamily in Cincinnati. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed because sometimes, things can go wrong when you're in escrow. So, I'm hoping to close at the end of this month on another 8 unit. And then we have 6 units here in
So they're
California.
all multifamily units right now.
We started with condos in Chicago, and we actually are selling those condos, which a lot of investors are doing in COVID. They're refinancing and pulling out, they're liquidating so they can purchase larger properties. So we are doing the same. So we have condos, and we also have a few fourplexes that we are selling. So we can move into a larger property, so we can invest into a larger multifamily.
I love
Okay.
that because, it's so hard to invest here in California. And so I've really been looking for somebody that could kind of coach me up in regards to, the markets and doing your due diligence out of state. So can you talk to us about what that due diligence is and how what are the steps that you kind of look for in order to find those out of state properties?
Right. And good point you brought up with investing here in California. A lot of investors find it difficult to invest in California because of the price point, very expensive. So that's one of the reasons why we invest out of state, because typically we can purchase a 8 unit to 12 unit for 500 to 600,000. That would cost us 3 million to 4 million here in California. So that's a huge difference. One of the things that we do
Exactly.
before we move forward with any deal, yeah, we perform and we make sure we fill out our analysis. So property analysis. You want to make sure your numbers pencil. And that's one of the things we do. Now, we've learned not to spend a lot of time there. So we want to be able to evaluate a property in 20 minutes to 30 minutes per property. And then before you decide if you want to move forward with the offer. So we make sure that we understand the market in areas, and particularly out of state. Because what I found, one of the first mistakes I made when I invested out of state after the Detroit deal, when I decided to go into multifamily, is because we live here in California, and we have a stigma for having deep pockets, and we are in the price point is so high here that when I looked at 8 units or 12 units out of state for 500,000, you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy that. There's no way we can get that here. Well, I didn't understand that I was overbidding in certain areas because I didn't understand what the price per door is in certain markets, and particularly zip codes. So what we do is we identify a zip code in the area, and then we look at, also in my due diligence, when we look at the unemployment rate, we look at the job growth, we look at what are the major companies that live in that city. And I also spend some time with researching the culture of the community, which is very important. As an investor, I know we want, our cash flow to continue to flow, and we look at our profit and appreciation. But it's very important for me, as when I move into a community, to be able to contribute in a positive way to that community. So I look at what does the community need. I go to their city website and I read their general plan, so I can understand, what their plan is for housing or for any other industries. And I just really check it out. I check out the demographics. I check out the livability scores as well in certain areas. And then we determine if we'd like to move forward with an offer. Now, that's a lot because we know that the properties move very fast, particularly now. They are on the market for under 13 days. So we've been having some challenges finding great deals. They leave quickly in 1 or 2 days. So you have to be really quick. So when I do find a property, I get right on. I have a system where I know where to go to find what the rents will be, what type of rents I can collect in that market, as well as all of the expenses, and it determine how much is going to how much my expenses will cost me, so I can really get a good NOI, which is net operating income. And then I always look to reduce my net operating income so I can have a higher profit and cash flow. And it's more attractive to the banks as well.
I have a quick follow-up question for you. Well, actually kind of two. When you're investing out of state, do any of these multifamily properties become affordable housing? Like, do you put a tax credit layer or HUD layer on top of the property, or are you using the affordable housing definition just in that you keep the rents below like the area median income?
Really great question. Um, so we always offer Section 8. So all of our housing, we accept Section 8. And as a matter of fact, I usually seek housing that offers Section 8 or that have existing Section 8 households in the building. If that's not the case, I will keep the rents below market rate. That makes it a little more difficult for some investors to make sure that their project pencils. And so I have to, walk away from some deals because it just doesn't pencil. I am not in favor of displacing households when I purchase the property. So I'm sure you hear a lot of value add when you're looking for property, and we do look for value add. Typically, we want the property to be 75% occupied when we purchase the property. So we will look for a level of value add. Nonetheless, we are not interested in displacing tenants, meaning that when after we close escrow, we immediately raise the rents that would not be affordable for those tenants that live at the property. I am in favor of raising rents. However, I don't believe rents should be raised annually over 10%. And even lower, between 5 to 10%. If you can make that work with the deal, then I'm in favor of that. For larger properties, tax credits are very competitive. And if you do not have tax credits on the property, then you'll have to apply for the tax credits. And that could be a lengthy process. So yes, we will apply for tax credits, but we look for properties that already have a tax credits benefits, or either a HUD project-based contract in place is typically the type of properties that we will seek.
Yeah, and I'm not going to nerd out with the tax credit, but I will tell you, I used to spend a lot of time just looking at the upcoming projects, and it, like you said, it's very, very, very competitive. So that's definitely good to know. I kind of wanted to dive in a little bit deeper for the multifamily investments, just if someone is looking to get started investing in multifamily, what would you say is step one? Like, should they go out and try to find a deal? Should they find a partner? Like, what do you suggest?
Multifamily is a different ball game from single family investing. And when you look at it's considered commercial, it can be very confusing sometimes, because duplexes up to 4 units are also multifamily. And if you are starting out in multifamily, I suggest that you start with a duplex up to 4 units. That will give you an idea of how to manage multifamily housing. 5+ units is considered commercial. It's a different lending process when you decide to finance the property, as opposed to 4 units or under. 4 units or under falls in residential. So the lending guidelines is a little bit different. What's really attractive for multifamily is when you purchase 5 or more units, your lender typically will look at the property itself and determine, if they can move forward with the loan, as opposed to 4 or less units. A lot of times they will look at your personal assets, and you'll have to have a personal guarantee on the loan to move forward with the deal. It's a little bit different financing for 5+ units. So I strongly suggest that you research and partner with someone, if you can bring in a joint venture partner, and that has a lot of knowledge about multifamily, because the numbers work differently. You'll hear terms as such as cap rate, EGI, effective gross income. You'll have to learn your terms of, cash on cash return and your return on investment. It's a lot of different terms, IRR, internal rate of return. So there's a lot of different financial terms that you should know before you enter into the multifamily world, shall I say. But I strongly suggest that you do, because it's very profitable. You're helping families as well, and you can scale, as opposed to, for instance, if you buy 15 single family homes and you buy one building that's 15 units, it kind of speaks for itself.
You just threw out a whole lot of terms that I have never heard before. So this is learning me something. I mean, I'm learning something new listening to you. So I definitely appreciate this knowledge that you're dropping on us right now.
My pleasure. One of the things I'd like to point out too with affordable housing, the new wave that's coming up, well, it's been around. And Ebony, you may have heard of mixed income housing. We call it blended housing. So I've managed a few of those buildings, and that model works so very well. And recently, Michelle Obama made a comment to the fact that that some people, shall I say, and I'll just leave it there, do not want minorities to enter into suburban areas, right? They feel like it's going to destroy the neighborhood. Well, that's absolutely incorrect. For me, and what I believe is the key is mixed income housing. That model works. There are some kinks that has to be worked out, but for those that do not understand or haven't heard that term, what that means is, for instance, if you have a 50-unit building, 25% of that building is market rate housing. The other 25% is affordable housing. It's mixed income. So it shouldn't matter, your income shouldn't matter in terms of if you qualify for housing, for decent, safe housing. Everyone has to abide by the rules of housing, and it shouldn't matter what your income is in order to live decently in housing. So as property managers, and we understand that we have to enforce the rules of the community to make sure everyone is safe, everyone's following the rules, everyone pays, on time, and respect each other. So that's across the board, and it shouldn't matter regardless of your income.
Didn't Cali pass a law?
I ask a question.
Oh, didn't Cali pass a law that that all like apartments have to accept mixed income or mixed?
There are some developers, some of your large developers, the city will require them to dedicate a percentage of the project to affordable. Right. Often that percentage is 5%. That's ridiculous. You may have one or two, units in an entire building that's affordable, and then on top of that, they steer it. That property that's affordable is located on the first floor in the back of the building. So, we're still fighting on this cause because, again, it shouldn't matter what your income is, and they shouldn't steer you to say low income families can only live on the ground level in the back of the building.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought that point up, because I think a lot of people have the misconception that affordable housing equals government housing. And there's a severe affordable housing shortage going on right now. And so while, yes, it is up to the government to help provide safe housing, it also is up to the communities. And that's something that we as individual investors can take part of. Like, you don't have to rely on these large development companies to, like you said, include one affordable housing unit just so they can get that tax credit, or wait on HUD to decide to create more affordable housing properties, when really we can be on the front lines with making sure there's safe and affordable housing in our communities. It's something I'm really, really passionate about. So I'm gonna pull back just a little bit about it so we can move on. Oh, Courtney, did you have a question?
Thank you. No, I just wanted to ask about like BMR, like which is here below market rate homes. And I wanted to just ask specifically, is that what you're doing here in California, investing in those BMR homes? And the reason I asked that is because is the red tape, differently than getting into those homes? Are there a lot of hoops to jump through?
Yeah, no, I have not invested in BMR and BMIR properties. What's happening there in that industry is that the contracts have expired and they're not renewing the contracts. So essentially, a lot of households that's under the BMIR, the below market rate housing, they are being displaced because their contracts are ending. And as Ebony said, a lot of funding have been removed from affordable housing, and it's really hitting the below market rate housing, and they're not accepting any more contracts. Typically, your contracts for affordable housing will extend to 30 years. So a lot of those contracts are expiring right now and they're not being renewed. So that means that that household is not going to receive those benefits anymore, and their rents are being taken to market rate. And that's happening a lot with the below market rate housing. It's happening with HUD.
No, I
as well.
appreciate that. Yeah, no, I appreciate the explanation because I always kind of wanted to unpack like what exactly, how does a home qualify for BMR and why does that particular unit qualify and why not? And then I wanted to kind of unpack and just kind of go back into what you were saying about condos and how you were kind of offloading condos right now. Are you finding that condos are sitting because of COVID? Why do you think that this condo market is changing?
One of the problems that we ran into with our condo recently, this is not recently. This can be a problem. A lot of your homeowners associations, they allow owners to rent out their units. So that's very standard in a lot of HOAs. And what happens is that the lenders, they use a ratio when you sell your property. And that ratio usually involves that there has to be more owners living on site than tenants. And we've run into this problem quite a bit. And if that is the case, your condo is considered non-warrantable. Now, a lot of loan agents, they don't understand the difference between a warrantable and a non-warrantable condo or property. And so a non-warrantable property means that the lending terms will be different. Usually your LTV is lower when you sell the property. And also HOAs, they have to register their communities for to have a FHA loan. So if they're not registered, then when someone wants to purchase the property, they can't purchase it if it's not registered as a FHA property. And so it creates a lot of problems with selling. It stays on the market longer. Also, when you have to work with HOAs, then your HOA's dues come into play with that. That can squash the deal. If the HOA dues are too high, then your numbers are not going to work. And then you end up coming out of your pocket paying HOA's dues, although you have a renter that lives there, because you can only rent the unit at the market rate. So if the market rate is $1,200 and your dues exceeds that, then you're coming out of you're coming out of your pocket with that extra money in order to meet your expenses on the property, including your mortgage payment. So there's just a lot of problems that can go wrong with condominiums. And so those are some of the issues that we've run into.
I can see that. And I can see here in the Bay Area that condos are sitting. There was a condo that was on for it was $525. and just got in it at 450, at 480 because it was sitting and nobody. And it's really all about, like you said, HOA fees. And then in the East Bay, good luck trying to find an FHA approved condo. No one wants to pay the fees, right? So then you just start that whole cycle again when it comes to,
Right.
you know, housing shortage and things like that, because I can only get in, I don't have 20. Most people don't have 20% down. They just don't. They got to go FHA, or either something's wrong with their credit. At least in my experience, they're dealing with my culture. It just kind of is what it is, right? And so I can totally relate to that. Now I appreciate you explaining that. So I wanted to talk about COVID, you know, just in strategy. That's something that's happening with condos for in COVID right now. You know, I don't think the same thing would be happening. I could be wrong, but I don't think the same thing would be happening if we weren't in COVID. People don't, in my experience, I don't want to be on top of anybody. So talk to me about, you know, what you're seeing in hot markets and your strategy right now during COVID. I've heard a lot of investors say they're thriving in COVID. Can you talk about your strategy and your personal portfolio and how COVID has affected it?
I'll talk about, you know, our strategy, but I want to say that, you know, under, you know, in our club, in our business club for real estate investors, Strive Wealth Builders, we have discussions often around this. This is totally a hot topic. And a lot of investors that's a part of our club, they have a range of their portfolio types, and from fix and flips to single families to condominiums to multifamily and some retails. So, you know, this is a really hot topic. Now in COVID, the market is hot. So what's in single family? The single family market is booming right now, and the single families are sitting on the market for under 13 days, including here in the Bay Area. And so that is letting you know that it's a seller's market. And what's happening is that for those multifamily investors that invest into A properties, and what I mean by A properties, for those that do not understand that term, is usually your higher end properties, or your new developments are usually in A properties. And because of COVID and the overwhelming amount of people that have lost their jobs, they can't afford to live in these A buildings. And so what they're doing is they're purchasing single family homes outside of the city. And that's where this wave is coming from. And that's why the properties aren't sitting on the market for very long, and it's very competitive. So, and the same thing with fix and flips. That's why it's a good time to fix and flip right now, is because the properties are sitting on the market for under 13 days, meaning you can get in and make your money really quickly, and because you know that that property is going to sell for the most part. And that's what a lot of investors are shifting into, buying single family homes, or fix and flip underneath COVID, you know, in the COVID era, as I call it. So that's what I'm finding. Now we're not in the single family market, and we don't fix and flip. We buy and hold, and we're multifamily. 5 to 20 units is our criteria. What we have found is that the multifamily sector for B and C properties remains strong. When I was looking at some stats just yesterday, some people are having a hard time paying rent. We understand that, and then we have a lot of moratoriums that have been put in place, the new laws that we cannot evict. Nonetheless, who's being really hit hard there is those investors that's investing into those A properties. B and C is pretty stable, and particularly affordable housing is very stable because they're still getting their subsidies. So we have very little tenants are not able to pay rent in our portfolio because we offer affordable housing, and a lot of our tenants they have Section 8. So we're not hit very hard in that industry. And from 92%, I believe it's 90 to 94% of households across the United States have paid their rents. So we're in a strong market when you're in terms of B and C properties, and we're very competitive too in placing our offers. So we haven't seen a lot of a lot of differences or changes in the price point for multifamily?
Man, you just hit on something so key that I think a lot of people who do know a little bit about the multifamily market probably are feeling right now is that, you know, in places like Dallas, you can't drive by without seeing a new apartment complex being built. And everyone's constantly complaining about how expensive the rents are. And you're absolutely right. Those A properties, when COVID hit, people are losing their jobs, and that $1,200 came. What is that going to do when the rent a one bedroom is $2,000, right? So the people who have been investing in like B and C properties and maybe just doing like a slight rehab, like they're definitely more stable. So I think when you said that, I was like, yes, you're absolutely right.
And they're filling their vacancies because that's where they're moving into those properties.
Yeah,
When you have to downsize, that's where you're going, right?
yeah.
And so yeah, it's unfortunate. Now the those investors that own a properties, they have to reduce their rents to make, you know, just to be able to meet their expenses.
Yeah. So if you're a renter out there, now's a great time to ask for some concessions if you're looking for a new place.
Absolutely. They will definitely try to keep you. They
Yeah.
don't want to, so you know, and we do predict that we're going to have a huge amount of households that will be evicted as we enter into 2021 in the first quarter, which is unfortunate. And I see that coming too. So, but again, for those investors that are able to purchase single family homes, because a lot of those families will move into single family homes that are affordable, or either B and C properties. Now, what that happens, and we understand gentrification has taken place too, especially in California and some of the areas. And that's why we have so many homeless people. We have over 8,000 homeless people right here in the Bay Area. We have over set right in my, not far from me, we have over in Oakland, because I'm really close to Oakland. I live in El Cerrito.
Oakland, absolutely.
Yeah, they have over 70 homeless encampments just in Oakland alone. So what's happening is that people that live in San Francisco that can
Yeah.
no longer afford to live there, they're moving into Oakland, and they're pushing out those households that can't afford to rent anymore, and they're becoming homeless. So it's a huge issue, and it's not only here in California, it's across the board in a lot of other states. So you know, I just don't see it getting better anytime soon.
I'm going to take this moment to shout out my aunt's nonprofit, Under One Roof. If you're in the Dallas Metroplex area and you're on that line on the brink of homelessness, she does have resources where you can use to apply for rental assistance, because what Ms. Detra just described, we do not want that happening. So just quick plug, Under One Roof.
Well, let me
Um,
tell you, Dallas is on the hot list right now. Dallas is on the top 5 of least impacted in terms of unemployment. And so investors really look at the employment growth, because of course, if you have a lot of unemployed people, there's unlikely they're going to be able to pay the rent. So Dallas is on the top 5 for that. Also Boise, Idaho, and Salt Lake City, some of the areas that I've never looked at investing in. Also Austin, Texas is on that top 5 of investing for real estate investors to look at, where there's not there's least impacted by COVID and the unemployment rate. So those are some of the cities. Seattle, Washington also is on that top 5. Some of the cities that's most impacted that we are uh, observing, because I won't say that I'll stay away, because I'd like to go in and help if I can, would be Detroit. Also, Los Angeles is on that list of the most impacted, but it's a high unemployment rate in Los Angeles, and Cleveland, Ohio, and New York. New York is the top. New York is, you know, it's really bad. The market is really bad in New York. So those are some of the areas that we are not seeking to invest in right now.
yeah, I can imagine.
I don't see you going into Detroit again.
Maybe, I don't know. You know, I
Oh
like
no.
challenges. So
It's been we've talked about it. We've had a couple of Detroit guests on, and we were like, ooh, it's a hot spot, almost how you are. It's a hot spot. So you kind of touched on our next question when it came to Strive Wealth Builders. Please share with us your vision behind it and why listeners should join and how they can join.
Okay, yes. So Strive Wealth Builders, we're a business club for real estate investors. We've been in practice or in business for 7 years now. My husband and I started this group back in 2014, and what the reason why we started this group is because me personally, and I'll just speak for myself, I've had a pretty difficult time with discipline in terms of financial management. And so I want to back up because, I made my first million at the age of 33, and that was, just 5 years ago. No, telling my age, but but I had a hard time, just managing money and keeping money. And even though, I went through all the classes and, and I still had a hard time. I just needed a system that would help me to stay focused, just and to understand that how important it is to make sure you have a high credit score, to make sure that your finances are in place, that you have your risk management in place, and more importantly, your health. Your health is very important as well, because you can't make a lot of money in investing if you don't feel very well from day to day. So all these things we incorporate in Strive Wealth Builders. And so what's different from us from any other type of investment club is that we have a personal growth practice, which is Strive is an acronym, and it means sacrifice. You must make sacrifices in order to meet your financial goals or your business goals. It means truth, telling yourself the truth and being trust and telling others the truth. Integrity is really high when it comes to real estate investing, because if no one trusts you, they're not going to want to work with you. They're not going to want to lend you money, and your business would fall very quickly. Value is when we talk about personal development and value yourself, so that way you can be able to not only help you, but help your community, help other people. And education, that's really huge, because this is a learning curve, and a lot of times we're passionate about what we want to do, but we don't take the time to understand the necessary steps to be successful. And that comes in education and reading books and having a mentor and learning from other people that are successful. And I truly believe surrounding yourself with those that know more than you. So, we bring in experts in to speak to investors that are more advanced. I don't syndicate. However, we do have investors that offer syndication. Syndication, and there's reasons why I don't do that, but I encourage syndication if that's if you would like to scale really fast and make those millions really fast. That's a way that you can do that is through syndication. So we are a network for investors to grow your passive income. We use a wealth ratio, so we determine your wealth ratio, and what that is we ask that you thrive to meet your expenses through passive income. So whatever your household expenses are on a monthly basis, say if it's $5,000 you spend on rent and your food and everything else and in your lifestyle, then we want you to make that income in passive income, in your real estate, or other ways too. A diverse portfolio is great to have. So I invest in stocks as well. I'm reluctant today. It just plummeted, right? And but I do,
Get in at the bottom.
We got one person we could thank for that.
Yes, let's not mention his name.
Get in at the bottom.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. I try not to go political, but it's hard these days.
It's so hard. We say that almost every episode. It's so hard. It's just difficult. How can you not?
Yeah.
Ma'am.
Yeah. So, you want to diversify your portfolio if you can, but I love real estate. I love to touch my assets. I can walk up to the building and touch it. I can see it. I can feel it, so that, I just feel more security in real estate than any other investment vehicle.
Miss Detra, this has been an incredible wealth of knowledge, and by far, I think one of our most knowledgeable episodes to date. This has just really been powerful and impactful. And I can't wait till everyone gets a chance to listen. Just want to say thank you so much for your time. I really,
Oh,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for having me. I know that we could have covered so much, topics, and I hopefully that was informative for you. But please, reach out to me at Strive Wealth
So
Builders.
informative.
Yeah, if you have any questions, just reach out to me. I'm willing to help, and anyone else as well. There's
We
no
got some
membership
more
fee to
for you.
join.
We have some more. We
Okay.
have some more for you. So that's you beat me to the punch. I just wanted, before we wrap up and we say our goodbyes, I just wanted you to note that we can reach you at Strive Wealth Builders, just like you said, and you can reach Strive Wealth Builders on Facebook and Instagram, as well as strivewealthbuilders.com. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're on yes, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, yes,
YouTube.
YouTube.
She got them
That's
all.
right.
y'all.
YouTube. That's why I just watched all the videos on YouTube. That's right. Can't forget that.
Yes, yes. YouTube videos. I usually
Awesome.
share, some knowledge on YouTube videos, just to kind of help that newbie get started. So I have some really good tips on YouTube to get you started, and some of the steps that's necessary to get you started in real estate investing.
I love it. And so before we let you go, we just have 3 questions that we just want to rapidly get you to answer first thing that comes to mind. And so
Okay.
our first rapid fire question is, book that has taught you the most. Go.
Oh, that
One
would
book.
probably, let's see, I have so many. I'm gonna say, oh wow, let's see. There's so many. My own book, because I wrote my own book, but that's gonna pop up too.
Oh, I like it.
Which is Strive Principles. Okay, there's a personal growth for a lifetime. So I'm going to say that's my favorite book, and so you can get that on our website. Most recently, I would say I love Eviction. So that's a book that I recently read. We have a book club called the BBC, by the way. So yeah,
Yes.
it's called a business book club. So we share a lot of recommendations for different books that we read. So you said the rich man, the poor man, also millionaire
Poor
next
dad.
door, millionaire next door. I
Millionaire
love
Yes.
Next
that.
Door. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Oh, you're singing my songs right now. I love all these books you're naming. I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna have to go get your book.
The
I
Law of
love
Money.
it. No, we're going to pub
How,
your
how can
book.
people get your book?
You can go to my website and to the training center, and you can pick that up there. Yeah, that's the best place to do it. I'm not on Amazon. I don't sell on Amazon. So I am on the book patch. It's called thebookpatch.com. You can also pick it up there. It's called Strive Principles, and it's a personal growth process for a lifetime. And yeah, please pick
I
it
love
up.
it.
All right. I
She
love
wrote a
it.
book. She wrote a book and had a magazine named after. I mean, had her own fashion magazine, Detra.
Yeah, that was my first. Yeah, I can't tell you what I was doing back
That's
then.
actually my second rapid fire question is about your fashion magazine. My second rapid fire is fashion. What is your go-to designer? What's your go-to style?
Oh, now you are not talking my language, because I'm not really big on different designers, because I don't like to put that money in their pocket. I like to put my
I
money
know that's
somewhere
right.
else. So,
I know that's right. Back when you had your magazine.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, back when you had your magazine, what was popping in fashion?
Yeah, probably a little Gucci, some Prada. He was doing. I love Coach. I'm a shoe freak too. So I love, stilettos, and it doesn't have to have any, I have to have, different colors and different types of styles. And, that just makes your outfit pop. You can have just something on black and your shoes is pop. And so I'm into shoes. but I have to say, you can lose me with all the different designers and so on. I don't pay a lot of attention to it. I just don't. I like
It's
what
all
looks
about the
good.
shoes.
I like good quality and what
It's
looks
all about
good.
the shoes.
Yeah.
That's right.
I love shoes. I probably have too many shoes. My husband, would share
Never.
that with me, but
You can never
yeah.
have too many shoes.
Never have been. Never. Buy the shoes.
Buy the shoe. Right,
That's
right.
Kim saying.
That's
Buy the
Kim, yeah.
shoe.
Yeah, I shop
Buy the
online
shoe.
for shoes. If it looks good, I'm buying it. I just don't want anything cheap.
Exactly.
But sometimes I buy things, I don't know who it is until I get it home.
No, see, Kim will help you with that. She helped me stop wearing cheap shoes with her consignment shop.
Oh, you can't wear don't wear no cheap
Shout out to Catch
corns. You
22
don't want no
Boutique.
corns.
When I first met her, she used to talk about my shoes. I was like, I can't help it. I love cheap shoes, but she helped me get out of that.
Thank
Shout
you,
out to Catch
Kimberly.
22
Yeah, thank you, Kimberly.
Boutique.
Don't wear the cheap shoes. Your feet are hurt, and when you get older, you can't walk. No,
Her
don't do
feet were
that.
hurting. So oh, my feet hurt. She got sneakers at her desk every day. I said, you wouldn't have to wear those sneakers at your desk every day if you wore some better shoes. Just because they cute don't mean you should buy them because they cheap.
Exactly. Yeah, stay
I've
away
been
from the
delivered.
pleather. Stay away from the pleather.
Oh my God. All right. Our last question is really about my thing. Music. Your go-to music, you celebrating that you just got the deal, that you just got this deal in Ohio that you've been looking at. You closed, escrow is fine. Escrow went through great. What are you playing?
I like rap music, and a lot of people probably wouldn't think that of me, and especially my husband. He's like, don't tell people that, because
why? You're only 35?
I'm always, because I know all the rap songs. I have a 17-year-old too, so he keeps me informed and everything. But I love some Too Short.
Oh, come on.
Oh, stop it. You from the Bay, you supposed to.
Yeah, I love me some Too Short.
Whistle.
I love Tupac.
Blow a whistle.
Yeah,
I like it.
Don't get me wrong. I like the classic too. I love Jill Scott. I love me some.
Yeah. Well, you celebrating the deal,
and
you're celebrating the deal.
Her.
You putting on some short. I got you. I know what it is.
Yeah, it just gives me, it gets me pumped up. It gets me ready for the day. So
I love it.
Listen, you're
That's
only
awesome.
35, right? So I don't know why your husband tripping. That's your air. 35 years young. That's what you want to listen to.
I know I will try put 20 more years on that one. But yeah, but I still like it. I don't like all the different language that how they treat some of the women. Don't get me wrong, so I don't like that, but I like the beats, so I like rap music.
Yeah.
I like listening to rap.
Yeah, I know. I totally understand. But we got Megan the Stallion that's representing for the women and putting women on the forefront. So we gonna bring it all the way back around. But no, I love that. This is awesome. Her
and Cardi B,
read the book.
Cardi B and Megan, they, I know they're on the charts right now. And Cardi B is getting some flack about, that WAP,
Yeah, it's a lot.
Well, WAP can stand for anything. It can stand for anything.
WAP can't.
Right.
What it could stand for? What can it stand for, Ebony?
Worship and praise.
Oh,
I knew she had something ready. I knew
wealthy ass person.
Okay, there you go.
Wealth and prosperity.
Oh my gosh. I knew you
got some good ones. That's some real good.
Teacher got their WAP. She got their wealth and prosperity, girl.
Oh my God. It can mean so many things. That is hilarious.
I have to.
Oh man, no.
I have to forget I am live on Facebook. I have to keep my image together here. So
sorry, guys. A little slight moment.
That is funny. Slight ratchet. Yeah, that was lightweight ratchet. No, we really appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate this interview. Read the book, buy the shoes. Too Short. I love it. Thank you so much. And you've got to come back on and join us again.
Yes, we loved it.
Anytime. I've had a great time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Detra. Bye-bye.
Bye.